Have you ever needed work so badly that you'd be willing to take major risks in order to secure a job? How about willing to die for your job? Well, that was the work environment for many in the 1930s during the Great Depression when they began construction on the Golden Gate Bridge. The construction of the Golden Gate Bridge created several challenges. Building a bridge that is 4,300 feet in length and 220 feet above the sea creates many challenges at the time in the 1930s. A project of this magnitude would kill one man for every $1 million that they would spend, is what the statistics at the time would say. So to say it was a monumental task is an understatement. It took, so construction of the bridge began in 1933, and its job is obviously to create what is San Francisco now, across the bay into Oakland. The suspension bridge created many other challenges, being that it's the first suspension bridge that has a tower built out in the ocean. And so this ocean tower created a lot of challenges for the engineers and designers to build, as they had to be able to build a tower in an ocean that would sustain not only ocean conditions, but also sustain potential earthquakes. So the community had a lot of concerns about the Golden Gate Bridge as well when it started. There was a lot of conflicting estimates in how much it was going to cost to build the Golden Gate Bridge. Some engineers had put in bids to build this bridge upwards of $100 million at the time. The engineer that won the bid, Joseph Strauss, he said he could build this between $25 and $30 million. So there was a lot of concern about without any state or federal funding, what this was actually going to cost to the community to build. The benefits to the community on why they wanted to build it was because they felt that the land on the other side of the bay would become more valuable if it had access to the city of San Francisco. And so they wanted to build this bridge to better a lot of things, but they had to make sure that they could do it safely and that they could do it feasibly across such a large span. So the Golden Gate Bridge, it would become the longest bridge in history to that point at 4,300 feet. So upon starting construction of the Golden Gate Bridge, Chief Engineer Joseph Strauss found that his laborers were easy to come by. He found lots of laborers as the 1930s brought on the Great Depression, and so people flocked to the construction site waiting for a job, trying to get a job. Many times it's reported that men are waiting on the sides of the construction site, waiting for somebody to either quit or unfortunately die in the act, so that way they could get a job. So laborers were easy to find. Risks for the laborers that were at the site at the time of the 1930s was extremely high. One slip or fall in an environment like the Golden Gate Bridge or other major feats that were built at this time costed a lot of lives. And so Joseph Strauss set out to try to mitigate some of those risks, and he did those through a lot of different safety protocols that he put in place. So he put in place a lot of protocols, like he was one of the first ones to mandate hard hats. Hard hats were a relatively new invention. He mandated hard hats. He also mandated glare-resistant goggles for all the men that were working on his sites. And he also even went as far as giving them cream for their hands and their face to keep them away from the harsh conditions of the wind and the ocean. But by far, the biggest contribution that he gave as far as safety protocols were the nets. He put nets underneath all of the building, and so that way if something was to fall or if an employee was to fall, they would land in the net and not fall to their death. In all, 19 men fell to those nets and did not die. Those men later became known as a group called the Halfway to Hell Men, meaning that they took a fall that otherwise would have killed them, but Joseph Strauss ingenuity of putting these safety measures in place took care of that. At the end of the build, finally at the end of the build was completed in 1937. The Golden Gate Bridge took foot traffic, and then 2 days later took car traffic for the first time. It was the safest build in history at that time, with only 11 deaths. He had 1 death on its own, and then 1 other incident where 10 men unfortunately passed when some scaffolding fell through the nets. And so 10 men died in total, making it the safest recorded construction to date. With its completion in 1937, Joseph Strauss completed the Golden Gate Bridge not only as the safest, but also completed it well under the $100 million budget that they were thinking of. Completed it at $35 million. Thank you.